Hi, I just wanted to say, life is so precious that you really should take advantage of what you have. I could remember that when I came over to Nova Scotia, basically when I was 10, back in I believe it was 1985. I can't really remember the exact year, but it was about I was pretty young still at this time, and the next door neighbor, of course, his parents were rich. He basically got what he wanted when he wanted. It didn't matter. They had put him through like, archery classes, so that he could learn how to shoot a bow and arrow. Well, one day I had a dog and took it into the backyard, and me and him were having a little tiff at that time. He was supposed to have been a friend, just goes to show you who your real friends are sometimes. But basically, he had 20 of his friends in the back of my yard, and I was just me with my dog. And he took a wooden stick that would generally have like a suction cup at the end of the wood to stick to a window. So he took that off and sharpened it with a knife, and he shot it at me with pinpoint accuracy that it hit my right eye. During the 10 plus years, because it was about 20, that it was about like 18, 19, 20, that I got an operation on my eye. They did do an operation that day at the Truro Hospital, except for the fact of the matter is, I live in a small community of about 50 to 75,000 people, so you're really not going to get the best eye doctor that you can get. When I was later on in life, when I decided to sue him for the pain and suffering I had went through for the 8 to 9 plus years. I remember I was just, pretty much, non-stop to the doctor, eye drops, to get the stitches taken out of my eye. I had to go down to Halifax. I had to do a laser treatment because the scar created cataracts in the right eye. He was forced to put in a implant for the lens part of the eye because the arrow had basically destroyed that part. After all was said and done, I really didn't get any, not money that typically that would have changed my life, because the lawyers had advised me at the time that it really was not worth to basically, go further, because they were paying for all the costs. It was about $5,000 at that time, so they suggested that it really wasn't going to be, I wasn't going to get any more. I requested around $50,000, which still is nothing for losing an eye. So that was pretty much that. And when I was about 27, it was about 27. It was actually the same year that the towers went down, which I believe is 2001. It was May, was when I basically found out. Before that, it was 2 or 3 months before that. Actually, it was about a month or two before that. I was starting to have troubles with constant headaches. and the headaches just would not go away. It didn't matter how much medication I took, Tylenol. It did not matter what kind of head medication it was. The headaches just would not go away. Constant visits to the doctor. Again, I live in a community of about 50 to 75,000. So constant visits to the doctor, and they put me up against a brick wall and did an x-ray in the back of my head. Now, I don't know what that was going to tell them. My balance was starting to affect me as well. I was starting to walk like I was drunk. I do not drink. Very rarely do I drink. And if I do drink, I never go out of the house. So that was affecting as well. And it was 2 days before Mother's Day. Sorry. Oh, no, this is a G. 2 days before Mother's Day. And I went up to the doctor yet again. And he basically stated, I asked him at that point, should I be driving my car? He said, no, I should not. I drove out to the hospital immediately after he said that, to get checked out yet again. I remember walking into the emergency doors inside the hospital, and then I basically blacked out. I don't remember anything after that. So I was like, okay. And I was like, well, what am I going to do now? So anyway, during that time that I was in there, I remember nothing of that day. There are 3 things that I remember vividly. One was walking into the hospital. Another one was eating a sandwich inside the hospital. Another thing I remember was being in the ambulance, asking where I was going. What they were doing was taking me down to a city where they had proper MRIs, CAT scans, and of course doctors that could really operate as well on your brain. Because again, I live in a community with a very small, very amount of people. So yeah, that did happen. So anyway, and then the last thing I remember was being on the neurosurgeon table, and the neurosurgeon doctors were basically laughing. I found out later through a very good friend of mine who was pretty much there the day that this happened, and he's the one that advised the doctors to take a second look at me, because they did not know that I had a tumor. They were going to send me home in a state where I didn't know where I was, didn't know what I was doing, so they were going to send me home in this state. Now, can you imagine, you're not knowing what you're doing, you're blacked out, you have no knowledge where you were, and the hospital is going to send you home. Now, this is how it's screwed up, that they, sometimes the medical healthcare is in small communities inside of Canada. After his constant harass of the doctors, they had another doctor look at me, found a bump in the back of my head, and therefore I was transported down to the city, which is about 45 minutes to an hour away from me. But I was transported by ambulance down there, had the surgery, and I was going. But during that time, really typically I was in that rehab, the state of just getting over the operation. The brain tumor was in the back of the brain, or it controls my balance and my speech, so therefore it could actually be operated and removed as well. That is something that a lot of tumors cannot be operated on. It just depends on what part of the brain it is in. There's a lot of factors involved with that as well. But yeah, it's definitely a certain situation. So I can remember, in about August, yeah, it was about August, I went down to the city again to do my rehabilitation, because I could not walk right, I could not talk right. I had to actually, at 27 years old, had to use a walker to physically be able to walk. I could not really talk that well. My voice, my words were all slurred. I went down to the rehab facility in the city. I did a whole, basically 3 weeks to a month of constant rehabilitation, constant treadmill. In fact, to this day, I don't think I ever want to see a treadmill again, but constant treadmills to get my, they say, quote, get my, my stamina back up there. I had to learn how to walk in a straight line. I had to try to learn how to keep my 2 feet together. All of this, very, very difficult to relearn. You just don't realize what you have to go through at that stage. I had to learn how to control my voice. I had how to speak words again without slurring. Try to control the volume of my voice, which to this day is a little hard. If I get excited, my voice does tend to go up, and if I get annoyed, it can really be up as well. Of course, you probably all get annoyed at some point or another. And I can remember that I was just coming home from the rehab, and I was, relaxing, and I was in bed when the Twin Towers were attacked. So I can never forget that day. In fact, I was watching the TV when the second plane hit the other tower. So yeah, I was watching that live. So question is, where were you during that day? What were you doing during that fateful morning of the 2001 Twin Tower attacks? What is, unfortunately, you hope no one would ever have to go to the hospital. I know a friend right now, his son had leukemia, went through numerous amount of treatments, did have his transplant and everything. He has some cancer, but still, it's the fight to get better. And unfortunately, that fight does take a very long time to get better. But the fact is that he was able to get a transplant, so that is great news. But yeah, this is basically a video about me, about different things. Hopefully you like it, and maybe I'll make some more, and leave some comments below, and we'll talk to you all later.